What's happening, Samurai? Wait, that's not my intro. Good morning, Samurai. Moving to Japan was the best decision in life I ever made. And this is the part where I'd normally say, actually, it was marrying my wife. But here's the thing. If I didn't move to Japan, I wouldn't have met her, so checkmate, atheists. Today I'm going to give you guys a peek behind the mask of my life in a much more serious video about why I moved to Japan and all the unbelievable and amazing experiences that came from that decision. If you don't want to watch a serious video from me, that's fine, I totally get it. But there's plenty of videos here on the channel to satisfy your need for less serious content. But if you guys want to know what it's like to leave everything behind and move out to the land of the rising sun, its pros and cons, and the origins of this channel's very name, and why I go by MatchaMusashi, then all I ask is that you stick with me until the end of the video. It would mean a lot to me and it really helps small channels grow. Thank you. So why did I leave for Japan? Well, I come from the UK and that's the intro. I guess that was enough for a reason. Thank you for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and okay, that wasn't just it, but it plays a part of it. A lot of people in life realize far too late that the group of friends they're hanging around with are people that they simply just don't belong with. And to be honest, the same thing can apply to the countries or culture that you're a part of. A lot of the things that my very English-loving friends have about the UK, I absolutely detest. Football, pub culture, bland, savory pastries we literally gave to fucking miners so they could take them into the caves because they had no flavorings that could go off. Ugh. And yet, it's one of our most popular dishes. Everything quintessentially British, except the witty humour, was something I just had no connection with whatsoever. I was tired of being locked into this boring and grey country with little to do except go out and pay for overpriced alcohol to feel a semblance of excitement. I wanted to go somewhere with lots of green, with a respect culture, somewhere where the services actually fucking worked. I realised and kind of locked in by my late teens that I had to get out, but I wasn't entirely sure where. In case anyone thinks I'm exaggerating when I say the UK is a generally miserable place to be, it is by metric the second most miserable nation on earth. On one hand, people in war-torn countries where their villages are being blitzed by fucking warfare, and third world countries where their government regimes are corrupt and keep them in poverty. And on the right-hand side, Birmingham.
It's a fucking shithole! I fucking hate it!
Okay. So with that in mind, here is the main and most important reason for why I left. Years ago, I felt I had nothing to really live for, and so I joined the Royal Marines, and entered something known as the PRMC, Pre-Royal Marines Commando Training. I wanted to specialize to be a sniper, and you know what you need to be a sniper? Your eyes. Well, I was medically discharged months into my training with the Marines, because I went quite literally blind, something I'll go into more on a future video. The short outcome of this all is one day this blindness led to me falling down the stairs. And I laid there in tears, basically looking back at my whole life, and realized I've been fighting for so much of it that it felt like this is something I meant to do. So I kind of made a deal with the world. If I get my sight back, I'll continue to fight, but I'll make it something beautiful. And many hospital trips later, plus one miracle, I could see again. And thus began the main reason for why I left: martial arts and the pursuit of peace. I started studying the history of the greatest martial artists, reading about those guys who adopted such a zen way of living, despite their whole lives revolving around conflict. And one name shone above the rest: Miyamoto Musashi, the greatest swordsman and martial artist in human history. See this? We get this from him. In wanting to read the writings of Zen martial arts masters in their truest form, it was clear I had to study Japanese. So that's exactly what I did. Months into my study, I suddenly started to notice that a lot of the media I was consuming, the interests I was forming, had been from Japan all along. Pokemon, my favorite IP and game series of all time. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, favorite TV show of all time. Even the manga about the life of Musashi, Vagabond, had become the book series that resonated with me the most, and all these things came from Japan. It was around this time I started really falling in love with what the country had to offer. You know, I was watching all the exceptional catalogs from YouTubers like Abroad in Japan, Tokyo Lens, Trash Taste, those guys. Abroad in Japan's book is really good, by the way. Check it out if you haven't already. I actually listened to it whilst I cycled across Japan for my Pokemon challenge. But now we reach the part in the story where I'm about to fly to Japan, an experience you can feel if you subscribe to my content. And of course, click that bell. Please do it for a very lucky 2025. I will personally send a lucky prayer for each of my subscribers. At the end of the week, 100 years in the mines for those who don't. Matcha. Serious video. So after a year of rigorously studying the language, the moment the borders opened up, I was on the first flight in. And I mean it. When I got to Korea and boarded that flight to Narita, Tokyo, there were only a few others in the cabin that I could even see. By the way, guys, if you're planning to go to Japan, for the love of God, don't go to Narita Airport. Go to Haneda. Haneda, please. But it's so much easier and way less busy. This was the first time I'd left home, by the way, and man, let me tell you, I previously had bawled my eyes out at a taxi heading to the London airport when I was leaving the UK. I'm not afraid to admit that. You know, I remember my mum waving goodbye to me, and she was in tears too. You know, she was knowing that I might not come back. And it definitely is an image I think about to this day, and I struggle to really think of it without losing breath. But this wasn't time to cry, it was time to celebrate, as the years ahead would become the best years of my life. Besides, I had a promise to keep. Before I left, I made a bold statement to my family, something that might have sounded crazy at the time, but I said I would become the greatest swordsman of my generation. That sounds crazy, right?
Foreshadowing is a narrative device.
We'll get to that later. The prefecture I spent my first few years in Japan was a place called Yamanashi. Yamanashi is an absolutely beautiful area with a constant view of Mount Fuji, old shrines, forests, and of course dojos. To get back to my apartment, I basically followed a river that ran perpendicular to Fujisan, so I would see it every day on the way home. A mountain that I would scale at a time when I really shouldn't have climbed it. We'll also get to that later. It's probably a good time to mention that this whole time I actually had a contact in Japan who'd been guiding me on where to go, where to find dojos and train, and how to live a more peaceful life there. His name was Ishikawa-san, and he became my de facto sensei for a time before I got deep into a routine of actually tending dojos, but he sadly passed away in 2023, days before he was due to watch me fight in a tournament. My routine ended up becoming a mixture of meditating, training martial arts, and attending a language school, the latter of which was my window to meet some truly amazing people, and the occasional filthy weeaboo scum. I actually met some of my best friends there, including one particular Frenchman that had a cameo in my last video, and had a tendency to befriend everyone he met, from barmaids to actual yakuza. He even attended my wedding last year. In fact, the girl who lived upstairs from me, and I complained to her face saying she was, and I quote, stomping around like a gorilla in winter boots. She's my wife now. Over the course of my time in Japan, it was becoming very clear to me that my life had become much more interesting. In fact, here's just some of the things I did in the first 2 years. Buckle up, because this is a lot. I traveled to over 10 prefectures, climbed Mount Fuji during a typhoon, cycled across half the country on a mountain bike to recreate a Pokemon journey, video on that coming in the future. I became close friends with a convenience store owner, picked grapes for a winemaker and subsequently got sloshed at his house. I served matcha during a tea ceremony, won multiple martial arts competitions for sword fighting, wrote a speech for City Hall about the values of peace, owned pet frogs, beetles, and a lizard, asked the girl I loved to marry me, and marched in front of thousands of people in full samurai armor to represent on foreigners' behalf, and made it to the front of NHK News. Then it settled. Life in Japan is so much easier. Almost reached summer child. Whilst it certainly has a lot of benefits to living in Japan, and I cannot stress this enough, every country has flaws to their societies, and there are zero utopias, except maybe Norway. Sorry to ruin Christmas for you kids. Daddy still loves you and Mummy very much. The work culture is unfortunately skewed due to the number of Blakukikyo. Fuck me. Choked on that one, swallowed my own tongue. The work culture is unfortunately skewed due to the number of Blakukikyo. I know many people who work ridiculous hours out there because the work culture is infested with these kind of companies that incentivize nothing except unpaid overtime and drone-like behavior. If you want to live a good life in Japan, it is crucial that you avoid these companies, like the plague, and look for somewhere with a more internationally standardized approach. If my only options were to live in Japan and have to work in a Blakukikyo, I'd be living in the south of Spain right now. Or Norway. Man, Norway's great. Isn't Norway great? Fortunately, in my time in Japan, I never got to work in such a place, and as a result, I got to enjoy life very freely. You will find if you keep your ear to the ground or watch any of the YouTubers I mentioned earlier, that there's just so much to do in every prefecture. For me and my martial arts, I was a kid in the sweet shop. I got to spend so much time with so many wonderful senseis and traveling at all these different dojos that trained me in the way of the sword, participating in those inter-house dojo competitions, sometimes going all the way to Tokyo for a bout. It was an experience that would just stay with me for the rest of my life. As it stands, I'm currently back in the UK due to logistical reasons involving my wife and I pursuing shared passports, but we are definitely going back to Sakura Land, either in a few years or even less than one. Could even go to Spain. Lots of options ahead, and I promise to document all of it. The Pokemon journey I mentioned earlier especially is a really big fish in terms of projects I've worked on, but trust me, that final video is gonna be amazing.
Oh shit, the bed, that is steep. Okay, flashback to me making that speech and you can just like fly down the mountains. Yeah, that would kill me.
At the end of the day, I leave you with this, samurai. Go where your heart calls you, whether it be a place, people, or a dream. Nothing is more important in life than dreams. Just be a dreamer of the day, not a dreamer of the night. And make the path to the places you wish you were at, rather than waiting for life to form a path for you. And above all else, if you're going to a foreign country, learn the language. When my mum and my nana came to visit me in Japan, it was very clear that without me they would be absolutely doomed. Some countries have genuinely next to no English skills, and Japan is absolutely one of them. So from traveling around a faraway land, learning to make matcha, master meditation, find love and adventure, all whilst mastering the art of the sword, I have so much to say about all things Japan and samurai, and I've barely scratched the surface. So if any of the things that I've talked about today piqued your interest, or if this video does well, and you want to learn more about this incredibly fast-growing YouTube channel, then stick around and leave a comment, because I reply to every single one. Peep the back catalogue of videos and see what you like, and become a samurai today.